Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know we've been taking a look at a lot of modern turntables recently, but I figured we'd do one more. You know, with the resurgence in vinyl over the last few years, a lot of people are getting into it that would never have gotten into it or ever been exposed to a vinyl record in their life. One of those people is my daughter. She's going to be 20 and she's just got into vinyl. She's picking them up even at Walmart. And she loves them. You know, it's a neat format. It's tactile. You can hold it in your hands. The album art is great. And she wants a turntable that is easy to use, kind of all in one. And I also want it to be something that meets my specifications as far as something that's not going to damage her records, something that's going to sound good. You know, I don't want her first experience with vinyl to be disappointing. After all, she has grown up in a completely digital age. She's never had any type of physical media before, unless you count maybe Blu-rays or DVDs. But for music, it's always been MP3s and streaming. So I want her experience with her first record player to be great. So I picked up this Stackstone Savage the One. It has really impressive specs that we're going to kind of go through. I want to get this out of the box and see if it lives up to its hype. Stay tuned. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of take a look around the box and see what they're saying about this thing before we get it out. Now, I will say that this thing weighs a ton. I want to say it's 20 or 30 pounds this thing weighs. It's the heaviest one I've taken a look at so far. So I'm hoping that translates into really, really good quality. But what they're saying about it, at least on the box here, it's a belt drive layered turntable with built-in speakers. And I think what they're talking about there is they have a design patent for a dual layer vibration isolation system. And hopefully we'll be able to see, you know, more of that once we get it out of the box. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about there, but that's the original dual layer pro shock absorption. One of the things I always worry about with an all-in-one turntable like this is the speakers interfering with the cartridge, with the stylus on pickup, you know, getting kind of a droning noise and you know, background hum and things like that. So I'm hoping that they've kind of worked that out in this unit. Stereo speaker, 2+2+2 independent unit. So what they're talking about there is 2 mid-range and bass speakers, 2 tweeters, and what they call 2 pro bass auxiliary units. So kind of looking forward to seeing what they're talking about with that as well. It does support wireless speaker function. And it does support 33 1/3 and 45 RPM records, which I'm glad it does not support 78s because you need a different stylus. It's not the same thing. I don't like seeing those record players that say that they will play 33s, 45s, and 78s. You're not going to get the quality out of the 78 that you should if you're using a stylus that is made for microgroove records, but that's another video. Anyway, they do offer, looks like, a pretty decent warranty on it, 48 months warranty, which is a lot more than I typically see on these products nowadays. You know, you're lucky if you get 30 or 60 days on stuff. And looks like a 7-day refund guarantee. So I guess if I don't like it, I'll just send it back. But I'm going to have high hopes for this. I hope that this ends up being something pretty decent. So let's go ahead and get a knife, get this thing opened up, and see what she looks like. I tend to feel like I'm pretty hard on a lot of these brands when they come out because I'm always leery of new stuff that comes out just because of my experience with, you know, modern electronic stuff that's trying to play older formats, you know, kind of like the cassette stuff you get nowadays, you know, just is terrible. I always go into stuff with this expectation that it's going to be terrible, and I don't think this is going to be one of those items, just based on what I've read in the reviews and, you know, the weight of the unit. I really expect this to be nicer than I expect, and I kind of expect it to be a nice unit. So opening up the box here, so far, I mean, it looks like it's well packaged. This box was within a box when it was shipped to me. Now it looks like we have a ceramic aligner tool. We've got the belt, 45 RPM adapter, and our owner's manual. Let's go ahead and get that stuff out of here. Pretty standard belt. Instruction manual looks like it's pretty standard. Component names, included items, installing the turntable, cartridge damping pads. So we'll go through all of this, it looks like, when we are getting it set up. Looks to be a pretty well written manual, and it's in looks like good English too, which is kind of unusual for products like this. Alright, so let's see what we've got in here. Looks like we've got some kind of a plastic piece. So it looks like this must be kind of the top of the turntable, maybe. Looks like we've got a quick start guide as well. That's handy. Alright. Looks like all this is going to have to come out as one piece here. Alright, see if we can get this slid out here without dropping anything. It's a little hard to do this stuff on camera, especially with something like this that weighs, I feel like 20 or 30 pounds. It is not the smallest or lightest unit out there. All right, there's our platter. So it feels like a nice heavy metal platter for this, which I always like to see because that's going to make a difference in how you're with wow and flutter and speed consistency and everything. So we do have a nice metal platter and a felt dampening pad for that. So that's a plus. All right, well, the main unit, let's see what we've got here. Set this down. It is well packed, I will say that. All right, let's turn this around because it looks like we have some stuff here. Looks like a US power supply. That is a small power supply. I would have expected that to be a little bit bigger. But it was like 2 amps of 12 volt is all it requires for power. Looks like this is, I guess, for those who want to display what they're playing. That was kind of a nice touch. That's an album stand, apparently. Let's see here. Place to display your album cover. So kind of neat. All right, what else we got? Get the main. Oh, I got something else in here. Almost left. Looks like our counterweight, perhaps. Yep, counterweight for our tone arm. Well, now we're getting to the main event here. You know, if this is nice, I actually may not give this to my daughter. If you guys watch the channel, you know I'm in the middle of building a new studio. And I've been thinking about getting a turntable to put on my desk in there, just so if I want to listen to some music while I'm editing videos or doing other boring stuff, I can. And I kind of wanted an all-in-one unit for that. Wow, that is nice looking. I do like the look of that. Nice speaker grate on the front. Let's pull that off and see if we can see what they're talking about with the speakers. So yeah, it looks like we have decent quality mid-range speakers, a couple of tweeters. It's Let's get this put back on. We'll flip it around here. And yep, it does have, looks like bass. I don't know if those are active speakers or if those are just from the sound pressure, I guess, in the box. We'll find out. But overall, so far, it's a nice unit. I love the switches on top here. I like a good tactile feel with switches and knobs. Even that volume knob feels nice. It's got a nice weight to it. It's not cheap. It's dampened. Yeah, that's nice. We'll get some close-ups of that stuff on here for you. Feels like a metal tone arm. Now it does use the AT3600L dual moving magnet cartridge. So while it's not an audiophile cartridge that they use on this, it's also not some cheap, horrible stylus that you get on Amazon for a couple of bucks that's going to ruin your records and sound terrible. At least it's a proper Audio-Technica cartridge. So far I actually have pretty high hopes for this. Let's spin it around and see what we have on the back here. So it looks like on the back we do have a grounding stud. So all you old timers like me will know that if you're hooking up to an external amplifier, you need to ground your turntable or you're going to get hum and noise. But it also has a phono and line selector, looks like, for these outputs. So it appears to have a built-in phono preamp, which is nice. So you can run it to a set of powered speakers or an amplifier that does not have a phono input on it. But it looks like if you do have a amplifier or you have with a phono input, or you have your own phono preamp, you can actually switch that off and run it at phono level out to your own preamp. So I do like that kind of functionality. Pitch control, so your speed adjustment for 33 and 45 are both right there on the back, easy to get to. Little screwdriver, you can adjust those up properly. So I do like that. I mean, it seems to have the features that I would expect on a turntable, you know, of good quality. I mean, and it is still extremely heavy. Now it does have these pads that it says to pull out when in use. Let's pull those out. Okay, that's the dampening on it. Feels like pretty decent dampening. Let's go ahead and get our belt on. And that belt just goes right around there and over the motor. Spin that around, make sure there's no twists in it. Good there. Get our platter put on. Seems like a pretty easy setup. I mean, there's not a whole lot to this part. And then this looks like a dust cover. So I guess for when it's not in use, you do have the dust cover to go on there. I do kind of wish it had one that you could have on there while the records are playing, but I think that would kind of kill the aesthetic of this thing. I think it would maybe look a little bit odd if you didn't have that. All right, well, let's go ahead and get the tone arm set up and balanced. We'll get the scales out, make sure all that is set properly. And let's get it plugged in and see how it works. All right, so I got my trusty scale here. We're going to go for 2.5 grams. This seems like a little bit easier system to balance out than some of the others that I've reviewed recently that had kind of an odd weight system on the back. So we'll go ahead and get this thing reset here. There we go. All right, so we're going for about 2.5 grams of tracking force. And that's pretty close. I've got it set just about to 2.5 on the weight, and it's at 2.63, so that's pretty accurate. Let's pull that back just a hair. There we go. 2.56, I think that's pretty close. All right, let's pull that back off of there. Put the scales away. Now, before we put a record on here and actually play it, I want to take kind of just a look around the controls. I love the switches on this. I love anything with a good solid mechanical switch, and this has it. But if we look here on this side, the very first switch is a BT and LP switch. That one selects between LP, which is playing, you know, your records on here through the speakers, and BT is actually allowing you to stream into this, so you can stream your own music through the speakers of this. Kind of doubles as a Bluetooth speaker. So I am kind of leaning towards maybe stealing this from my daughter, because it would be perfect on my desk in the new studio. But anyway, so Bluetooth or LP, I'm going to put it on LP since we're going to be playing a record. And then over here on this side, it's a 3-position switch. In the middle is off, up is 45, down is 33 1/3. I mean, just super simple, you know, to use, it looks like. And then you have a rotary knob here that is an off switch. Nice positive click to go on, and then volume control. And it is a very smooth weighted volume control. I really, really like it. All right, so this unit here does not have auto stop or anything like that. It won't return the tone arm when the record's done with, so you'll have to keep an eye on it. But I would rather have fewer features like that and a higher quality mechanism and better sound than something that has bells and whistles that sounds absolutely terrible. So let's grab a couple of records and play it through here and see what this thing sounds like. Well, moment of truth. I've got some Patrick Cornelius here. I'll plug him again. Went to middle school with the guy in Feltwell, UK. Great guy. Awesome saxophonist and jazz player. So if you have a chance, this is Way of the Cairns album of his, but all of his stuff's good. I can't play a whole lot of it because I don't want to get copyright flagged, but it is a great album, and I always use it for testing because it does have a lot of dynamic range to it. All right, let's go ahead and get this going. We're on 33 and LP. It does have a soft drop on the stylus here, so it does come down nice and easy on your records. See what it sounds like. It'll go pretty loud. Let me skip over to another track here so we don't end up copyright flagged. And I'm not getting, doesn't feel like I'm getting a whole lot of noise through it either, that I was worried about with having the speakers built in. I think the isolation does a pretty good job. If I turn it all the way up, it just plays the music. It doesn't drone out or anything like that. But sounds great. I think it's a good sounding record player. It doesn't have huge mega bass that you would get from huge speakers, but it is a nice, rich, full range sound that I'm getting out of it. The little speakers on the side seem to move. So like I said, I can't tell if those are active or passive, but it does have nice, decent bass from what I can tell on it. It seems like a really well constructed unit. Now I do think in the interest of completeness, we need to test it on the Bluetooth. So I flipped it over to Bluetooth, and let's see how easy this thing is to pair up. Now I've got an Android phone here. Let's see, available devices. It says Savage the One right there, pairing. Pair, yes. Let's see if we can find something to play here. It's pretty decent. We'll see if it picks up here any. I know you guys can't hear the quality through my little lapel mic here, but it is a nice sounding unit. I do like the fact that you can use it as a Bluetooth speaker as well. I think that's pretty handy. Let's go back to me here. So do I love it? Yeah, actually, I think I do. It's a nice quality turntable for the money. Super heavy, built well. You know, they don't use the cheap components that a lot of these little suitcase units are using that you can find on Amazon and eBay. They are a little bit more expensive than those, but I think you do get what you pay for. Now, I'm not selling these things. I don't get commissions or affiliate links or anything like that with it, but I will leave links in the description if anybody wants to check them out. They do use good components. I mean, you have the Audio-Technica cartridge in these. It does have Texas Instruments amplifiers and operational amplifiers in it, something like an 89 decibel signal to noise ratio on those. So it does seem like you're getting good components that it's built with, and it's put together well. You know, the isolation seems good. The speakers sound crisp. There's not any, background noise or hiss coming through the amplifier when nothing's playing, through it. So I think overall it's a very, very high quality turntable. That's all I have for today, but I appreciate you guys watching and sticking with me through this review. If you have any comments on it or if you have any experience with this turntable, please be sure to leave those comments below in the comment section. I enjoy reading through those and answering all of them that I can. If you have somebody who's looking for a new turntable, let them see this video. Maybe we'll get another subscriber and fan of the channel out of it. But until next time, I've been Chad here at the Vintage Electronics channel. We'll see you next time. Happy listening.